Number one, I do not downsize my dream. Right? That's a decision you have to make. Number two, I focus on solutions, not problems. Number three, I choose to be authentic. Number four, I choose courage over fear. Number five, I choose relationships wisely and nurture them intentionally. Number six, I actively seek feedback and use it to grow. And number seven, I know my purpose and take daily action in the direction of my vision. So if you can agree to those 7 things, then you should definitely pick up this book and read it because it's very useful information that's in here. Hey Queens. Yeah, you know who you are. God, come on. Go ahead and put that crown on your head. Now tilt a little to the left. Now a little to the right. Perfect. Now let's get to work. Because we know you got big goals. And you got big dreams and not afraid to let them know. Why? Because you step into your purpose. You speak out on your faith. And you shift up in your journey. Because you a boss. Welcome to the podcast Drop the Expiring Act with your host Belly of QueenBayGoals.com, reminding you that you are a queen before anything else. It's your life and your goals. Make it royal. Alright y'all, go ahead and work that crown. Hey queens, welcome to episode number 5 of the Drop the Aspiring Act podcast. Now, this week we're changing things up a little bit because it's the end of the month. And if you didn't listen in the first podcast, you would know, or you wouldn't know, that at the end of every month, the podcasts are going to be a little different. So we're going to do book reviews at the end of the month. So this is our first book review that we're going to be doing. And it's for a book entitled Successful Women Think Differently. 9 Habits to Make You Happier, Healthier, and More Resilient by Valorie Burton. And that's Burton with an O and not an E. So it's Valorie, Valorie Burton. She is a certified personal and executive coach according to the book cover. And on the back, I'll just read a little bit of it. It says, you are capable of far more than you know. It says, are you ready to make changes that will leave you happier, healthier, and more resilient? All right, so let's just dive into the book review. So this book, I got over 5 years ago. I'm just putting that out there. So it was actually written in 2012, and I decided that I'm going to reread it again because I remember that it was a great book about mindsets and, coaching that I read whenever I first got it. And if you're a book reader like me, you have books that you read like maybe years ago, and then you go back and read them again, and you just get so much more information out of the book. Or you're just in a different place where you couldn't receive the information the first time, but the second time you reread it, you get so much more out of it. So that's why I decided to go with this one for the first one, because we're talking about, Act Like, Think Like series, the actions that we should take so that we can drop our aspiring acts, and the mindsets that we need to shift towards to drop our aspiring acts. So I said the perfect book for this series, the first book review, should probably be Successful Women Think Differently, because I believe that we all can be successful in whatever it is that we decide we're going to do, especially when we decide that we're going to drop the aspiring act. So I thought that this was the perfect book for our first book review. So let's jump right into it. So the first thing I want to say is, in the very first chapters, I'll go through some of the things that I highlighted, but one of the first things that she says, in the first chapters, and if you hear the pages turning, that's just me turning the pages in the book because I want to make sure I don't misquote anything. But the first decision she wants you to make before you read the book, and there are 7 of them. So if you're not going to adhere to the decisions, if you're not going to agree to these decisions, then you probably shouldn't read this book. But if the 7 decisions that I mentioned are some things that you probably want to agree to, or you definitely would, then definitely get this book. And you can download it, get it on Amazon, wherever you can get your books. You can get it from the library if they have it. So let's jump into the 7 decisions, right? So the 7 decisions, the 7 key decisions that she talks about in the first part of the book, and she actually wants you to sign it and date it if you're going to agree to these decisions, are: number 1, I do not downsize my dream. right? That's a decision you have to make. Number 2, I focus on solutions, not problems. Number 3, I choose to be authentic. Number 4, I choose courage over fear. Number 5, I choose relationships wisely and nurture them intentionally. Number 6, I actively seek feedback and use it to grow. And number 7, I know my purpose and take daily action in the direction of my vision. So if you can agree to those 7 things, then you should definitely pick up this book and read it, because it's very useful information that's in here, and it will help you to start shifting towards a success mindset, right? Because we want to start thinking bigger. We want to start shifting towards the mindsets that we need to have, so that when we're dropping our aspiring acts and doing the things that we want to do and being the people that we want to be, that we actually have like the right skills in place, the right habits in place, the right thinking in place. So you should definitely grab this book if you can agree to those 7 things. So one of the first things that I wanted to point out that she mentioned in the first chapters of the book is, and this is so true, this is like on page 9 of the book, and it's in the introduction, right? It says, it's easier to pretend you never wanted it than to go after it and fail. OMG. Do you know how many people I've seen do this? And it's like, they said that they want something so bad, and it's something that they always dream about, and they try to go after it for a little while, and then they don't actually succeed at it, or it's not that they don't succeed, it's like maybe they didn't try, or maybe they didn't have all the information, right? But they, in their minds, they fail, so they don't go after it, and then they act like it's something that they really didn't want. I hate when people do that, like, especially if you come to me and you're like, oh, I'm so excited to do this, right? And then I asked you about it a couple months later, and it's like, I'm not doing that anymore. I don't want to do that anymore. And you can see like the pain in their eyes when they're saying that, because they actually don't believe what they're saying, because they actually really wanted the thing or wanted to go after it, but somewhere along the way they failed in the process, or there was information that they didn't know, or they didn't use the right approach to go after it. And because they failed, or because they've seen it as a failure and they don't want anybody else to see them as a failure, they just stop. And that just breaks my heart. So if you are somebody that wants to go after something, if you're ready to drop your aspiring acts and being an entrepreneur, an author, a singer, a dancer, an actor, anything that you want to go out there and do, I say go after it. Go after it. Go all in. Go after it. If you fail at some point in the process, and I talk about this, I think in the previous episode, or maybe 2 episodes back, I talk about failure as part of the process. We should understand that failure is a part of the process, right? Because we don't know everything. There's so much information out there. There's so many different ways to go after something, and we do not know it all. So we need to understand that failure is 1, part of the process, and 2, accommodate that, right? So if we know, okay, at some point we're going to reach a point where we just don't know something, or we fail in a project, or, you put in something out there and you get like maybe 3 hits. Like, that's it. You're looking for millions of people to come and find your stuff, and you got like 3 hits. Or maybe it's just in the way that you put it out there, right? Or maybe you didn't do a good launch up to it and had people anticipating whatever this thing is that you're going to put out there. But I don't want you to just stop. I don't want you to say, okay, well, there's something that I don't really want because the first time that you did something, it failed. I want you to continue to go after it. And I think with a book like Successful Women Think Differently, it kind of helps you to change your mindset, change your thinking around, when you run into something that causes you to fail. You don't need to think about it as, okay, I failed, I don't want to do this thing anymore. You need to start thinking about it differently. So the other great thing I like about this book, in all the sections, as she goes through the 9 different habits that you should have to be happier, healthier, and more resilient, at the end of every chapter, there are questions that she wants you to ask yourself. And she says that it's kind of a way that you kind of can coach yourself, because the questions open up your mind to a way of thinking, the way that you're thinking, and then it kind of opens up your mind to maybe the ways that you've done something successfully in the past of a different venture, and then maybe you can use those skills from something that was different to whatever the new thing is that you're trying to do. And that was just in chapter 1. The specific questions like that were in chapter 1, where it asks you, What is it that you accomplished before in the past? What helped you to accomplish that thing in the past, right? And then it asks you to think about, well, something that you failed at now, today, and how could you have used some of the skills that you used in the past to actually make this thing better the second time you go after it. So I love that about the book, that at the end of every chapter, there are questions that you can ask yourself, and it helps you to go into your own mindsets, your own thinking, and then you can use some of the things that you've learned in the chapter to kind of think about things in a different way than you have been thinking about it. So definitely get this book if you are looking to start to think differently, have a different mindset, especially if you want to go after something that's big and huge, right? Like if you want to go after a singing career, or you want to be an author, you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to have a different mindset to get into these things. You cannot have the same mindset that you've always had growing up, right? You can't have the mindset that you had when you were 18 years old. You can't have the mindset that you have when you were 21 years old, right? You have to have a different mindset if you want something different in your life. So definitely get, and I'll say it again, the book is called Successful Women Think Differently by Valorie Burton. She also has a book called Successful Women Speak Differently. I don't have that book, but it's probably on my list of books to read. And she has even more books than that. So if you check her out on Amazon, I think she has about 9 books that she's written in total, that you can go out there and check it out. But definitely check out Successful Women Think Differently. I think it's a very good book. Let me see if I find another quote that I underlined in here to share with you guys. So in another part of the book, it says, every truly successful woman seeks peace in her decision, love in her relationships, and purpose in her life. So if that speaks to you, and if that's something that you want, then you should definitely get this book, because I definitely agreed with that statement. Let me see if I find another one, because I have highlights and underlines everywhere in this book. The first time I read the book, I did not do that, because I don't know. I don't know if I was afraid to write or, in your own book. Because it's like if somebody else takes the books and read it, they're going to read your stuff. But I'm like, it's my book. I can write in my own book. So this time around, I've actually written in the book. Another thing it says, I think this is in the chapter, Believe You Can Do It. It says, other people don't need to validate my pain in order for it to be real. OMG. That was an eye-opener for a lot of things, because a lot of times when you're doing things in life, you expect people to, if something hurts you and you go to somebody else and you expect them to see, oh my gosh, that sounds like it was really painful, and you don't get that reaction when you go to other people, right? They're like, oh, you should just nip that in the bud and move on. It's like, well, wait a minute, this is something that really happened to me. It really hurt me. But the thing about it is, like she says in the book, other people don't have to validate your pain for it to be real. And a lot of times people think that, if other people says, I should get over this really quickly, then maybe I really should. No. If you don't get over it as quickly as the next person, that doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. That just means that you're just not them, right? It doesn't mean that the pain still didn't happen to you. It doesn't mean that it still didn't hurt you. So you do not need other people to validate anything that you've been through, anything that hurts you. If they got over their, let's say a breakup, if they got over their breakup in 2 weeks, good for them, right? But if you took maybe 6 months to get over yours, that doesn't means there's anything wrong with you, okay? That was in the chapter on Believe You Can Do It. And then I'll go find one more. Oh, this one I wanted to talk about. This was about a lady who, she was working in a job. She was making good money, but her and her manager, they were not in agreement, and she was not getting good feedback from her manager, and she got a new job that was paying way less, right? But in the job, in the description, it says she volunteered to help with assignments outside of her job description so that she could demonstrate her abilities and also learn and grow. Do you know how many women are not even just women, people in general, do you know how many people are not willing to do that? Go outside of what their job description is to do things that you want to learn, things that will help you grow, things that will help you up-level your skill sets, things that you can add to your resume as things that you've done. How many people won't do that? They won't go outside of what their job description says that they should be doing. If it's anything extra, they're like, okay, I need to get paid more money, I'm just not going to do it. Even if it's to the benefit of them. It's their mindset is just I'm not getting paid anymore to do that, so I'm just not going to do it. You know what kind of a mindset shift that is, that you need to understand or think that, okay, this is going to help me up-level my skill sets, right? This is going to help me to go to another level. Regardless of whether or not they're going to pay me more to do this, I'm going to volunteer my time, my services to learn how to do this thing, to learn how to grow in this skill set. And this lady, she ended up being the youngest woman of a corporation, doing that thing that she volunteered to do. Like, she ended up being the youngest woman in, I think it was like McDonald's Corp or something like that, running the business in that area that she only volunteered in. But had she said, okay, I'm not going to volunteer to do this because I'm not getting paid any extra. If she had that mindset, you know where she would have been? Still in the same position where she started. But she decided she was going to volunteer because this is something that she wanted to learn anyway. And look at her. She volunteered to do it. She up-leveled her skill sets in that area. Her managers and the people around her recognize her skills and recognize that this is something that she really wants to go after this. And they promoted her. And then she got promoted until she became one of the youngest C-level people in that office. You have to read the book to get all the details. She was like the youngest person to be in that area, running the company, right? Because this is something that she said that she wanted to learn, and she volunteered her time to do it. There are a lot of people that are not willing to do that. So if all that stuff that I just said doesn't make you want to go out and grab this book, I don't know what else will. But I think you definitely need to go get this book. I'm going to say it one more time. Successful Women Think Differently. 9 Habits to Make You Happier, Healthy, and More Resilient by Valorie Burton. I'll put links in the description if you guys are looking at the podcast. If you guys are watching it or you're watching the replay on my YouTube channel, there'll be links in the description box below for you guys to see it. I can't remember what we're doing in the next book review, but the next review is the end of next month. But next week, we are continuing the Act Like, Think Like series. So look for a new episode next Wednesday. Thank you guys for listening. Let me know where you guys are listening to this podcast too, because it's available on most of the major platforms: Apple, Google, Spotify, SoundCloud. I also upload it directly to YouTube after I post it out there on Anchor. So let me know where you guys are listening to the podcast. Make sure you leave me a comment. Let me know if you've read the book before, if you have any comments about that. Let me know if you go out there and you get it and you just love it. And then if you have more recommendations for books, let me know in the comments as well, and I'll go add those to my list of books that I need to read. So I'll leave you with that this week. Thank you guys for listening. Come back to Drop the Aspiring Act podcast next Wednesday for our new episodes as we continue the Act Like, Think Like series. All right, you guys, this is your host, Velling, and I'm out. I'll see you guys next week. You have been listening to another episode of Drop the Aspiring Act. If you're looking for more information on this podcast and other episodes, please visit queenbaegoals.com. That's QueenBaeGoals.com. All right, y'all. I'll see you in the next podcast.